Welcome back, everybody, to the Daily Advantage Podcast. Today I am here with our guest, Andrew Wyand from 107 Creative. He is a full-time worship leader, correct?
Correct.
And he's made his passion of making videos into a wedding videography business with his wife.
That's correct.
We're also here with Drew. I didn't mention Drew's here.
Yeah, I'm always here.
So Andrew, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic.
That's awesome.
Beautiful day, snowy day.
Yeah. I'm glad we got you out here. I was a little worried about the snow, but we managed.
We're here.
We're here. I want to jump right into it. You're actually the first guest on the podcast that really no idea who you were until Zach mentioned you.
That's perfect.
And I was like, because everybody else that we've had some kind of business relationship with, friends, that kind of stuff. So this is a really cool podcast because really going into this, I had no idea what you're about, where you came up from. And so I want to jump into everything, how you found your passion, the journey to it, business experience, that kind of stuff. And it's a pretty unique business running it with your wife.
Correct.
Carrie, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So that's really awesome. So let's start the beginning.
Yeah.
School passion.
So basically went to Liberty University, graduated there in 2015, and I went there to study worship leadership. I knew, hey, I can play instrument, I can sing. That's what God's calling me to do. I want to be a worship leader. And so I graduated from 2015, met my wife in senior year at Liberty University, and then we got married 2 years later in 2017. But
awesome.
In the between 2015 to 2017, I get to the church at Wedding, and it's a small church, so it's actually my dad's the senior pastor, and so it was just me and him for a year. It was just us two, and I was like, man, I'm not just here to lead worship. I'm here. There's a lot going on. I need to do more than just music, and so I said, there's an incredible opportunity to tell people stories. Mm-hmm. There's an incredible opportunity to just have communication within the church. And so that's where I was just searching on YouTube, and I'm like, man, I need to figure out something with video. And so I just started researching it, and I came across Brady Shearer with Pro Church Tools, and I just loved his stuff, and church communications, videography, all of this. And so I found, like, hey, if you want to start out as a church communicator in the world, hey, you need this base package. So I got a Canon T5i, I got a nifty 50, and tripod, and I just started. And slowly but surely, you gain experience. You gain, how do you tell people stories, all of that. And so then it comes to 2017. Carrie and I are engaged. So about to get married in October, and now my brother and sister-in-law, they said, hey, they got married 4 months or so before us, and they were like, hey, we're looking for a wedding videographer. We know you do some video. I was like, well, this would be my first wedding. This would be my first wedding. I don't really understand 100% what I would be doing. So all I had for my very first wedding was a tripod, which was a monopod. It's like a dual thing, tripod and a monopod. You can just, my T5i, my nifty 50, and that's all I had.
Wow, I had pretty much the same experience of the wedding.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so have you talked about it on a podcast?
I think we talked about it the last business one we did, but I mean, so me and our friend Caleb, who's actually in Argentina on a missions trip, we were spending the night actually in this basement. And I get a text the next morning from my ex-girlfriend at the time. She's like, yo, somebody at our church, their videographer just bailed on him. Yeah. Can you shoot it? And I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, we had shot YouTube videos for our Cinema Bros channel, which is just us screwing around having fun.
Exactly. No pressure.
Yeah. And so I was like, wait, what? A wedding?
It was like a couple hours before.
2 hours before the ceremony.
Exactly.
Like, holy crap.
Like, okay, let's go.
So I had like a T6i, actually.
There you go.
A T6i, and then like a kit lens and a zoom lens. I didn't even have a 50.
Really?
Which I would have loved to, but no experience at all with anything, especially not weddings.
And I think that overwhelming.
It was the most nerve-wracking experience of my life.
You get one shot.
Yeah. And
one take.
So I had my Canon camera, and I knew that fairly well. I still wasn't shooting in manual, which I hate.
Right.
But I get there, and my ex-girlfriend's sister had like a Nikon camera. They're like, yo, you might want to use this. And I was like, well, 2 cameras is better than one.
Correct.
So I
Use
had
what you
the
have.
Canon like up on like the balcony with the zoom lens,
There you go.
recording the worst audio ever. And then I had this Nikon that I didn't know how to work.
Right.
It was like, I don't even, like, I've never used Nikon. And I remember hitting the record button, it would crop in a crap ton.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
It was such a nerve-wracking experience. And I wasn't, expecting to get paid or anything. And then they paid me like $100.
Right.
I was like, wow.
Same situation with me.
Really?
I wasn't expecting to get paid, but
Yeah.
at the end of the time, I said, you know what? We're going to roll with it. I was just like, Andrew, just make sure you get the kiss. Just make
that's
sure
exactly
you
what
get
I
the
thought.
kiss. Everything else is your first wedding. If you miss
Yeah,
something, that's okay.
The
Just make
kiss
sure you
is what
have
you need
the
to get.
kiss recorded,
Yeah.
ready to rock.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
So then I basically finished that wedding, sent it off, and then that's where it got me thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a worship leader, and I want to make some side cash.
Yeah.
What can I do? I don't want to work at a retail. I don't want to have set hours. I want to be my own boss. I want to have my own flexibility. And then in 2017, we did the one wedding. Then Carrie and I got married. Then we're like, hey, okay, so we want to make some more cash. I told Carrie, I was like, look, the Lord has actually just brought, I swear people are like listening on our phones because an ad literally came up after that conversation I had with my wife, Carrie, saying, full-time filmmaker. And I don't know if you ever seen those ads, but
For Parker Wallback?
For Parker Wallback. And
Yeah.
so I saw that.
I'm a part of that, actually.
Okay, and so I saw that.
Yeah.
And I said, Carrie, if we're going to make this leap of faith and make something, I need to invest in myself.
100%.
And so I invested in the course. I got the whole thing.
That's so sick.
I invested in the whole thing. And then I was like, I actually now know what I'm doing a little bit because I was watching his videos.
He's nuts.
Because
He's
it's so
smart.
detailed.
Yes.
So then I got a stabilizer. I got an HD glide cam. Like it's just like riding a bike for stable, smooth shots. Got a Canon 80D. Got all this base package gear. Got a MacBook Pro.
Yeah,
I already had a MacBook Pro, but I got a more souped up version just because I needed that. It was my other one was like a 2011 MacBook Pro. Yeah. So I was like
it wasn't gonna run the current version.
Correct.
No way. Well, you're a Final Cut guy, right?
I'm actually Premiere.
You are a Premiere guy.
I'm a Premiere guy.
Awesome.
Yes.
So we can agree on that.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I was like, okay. So then I started putting those techniques into what I was recording and certain things with church even. I was able to like do recap videos of certain things, and it just ties in with the wedding videography. So then in 2018 we were able to do 2 weddings, and then in 2019 we were able to record 5 weddings.
That's dope. That's
and
awesome.
So we've been very blessed in that sense, and so that's where the passion started for wedding videography, and where I'm like, man, I'm excited to capture people's story, but like you said, again, you only get one shot in weddings, and it can be very overwhelming. So getting that experience every single wedding, even if it isn't at the price point that you want it to be,
it adds to your experience.
It adds to the experience,
and you can build value.
Exactly.
That's awesome. We're like same boat, especially even with weddings. Like last year, there was a lot of really good connections. I was really lucky. I shot 6 weddings, 5 were video, and one was a photo wedding. Super basic, but like going from that first wedding to that 5th wedding, huge qualitative difference. And it was funny because like my business, we usually shoot more business brand advertising, crowdfunding campaign, that kind of stuff. And so like going into weddings, I mean, like I said, my first wedding that I shot was the second wedding I'd ever been to in my life.
Oh, really?
Ever. I'd never been to weddings.
Oh my.
Like, as a baby I was, but like I basically didn't know how a wedding worked. Yeah. And so with that wedding
and structure.
Yeah. So then my first wedding came around. It was a connection that I had through a job that I had, and their son's getting married, whatever.
Right.
Gavin does videos.
Right.
That wedding, I want to say it was the hottest day of the year. That was the wedding. Me and Logan were shooting.
Of course it was.
I was in North Carolina in the Outer Banks, and then I had to come back, and that next day I shot this wedding, and it was 111 degrees during the ceremony, outside in the sun.
At least, woo, yeah, you know,
nuts.
God bless you, but at least it wasn't raining. You know, those are always the nightmare.
I haven't had one of those, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But I mean,
probably...
yeah, I said it. It's already said.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should probably not have said that.
Whatever. But like everything tied into each other because I very recently got full-time filmmaker. I love it.
Right.
I mean, because I've been
so concise.
It's so detailed. I mean, I've been learning pretty much everything off of a lot of Parker Walbeck stuff on YouTube.
You just treat that as the Bible, and you go right, and you do exactly everything that he says to do.
Yeah, because I was at a point in senior year. I have like this crappy glide cam. I'm more of a Ronin guy,
right?
Or like handheld.
Mm-hmm.
I need to actually invest in a better glide cam, but I had like this pretty crappy, $80 glide cam, and I would take it to school every single day. I'd just be walking around school, shooting shots in the hallway with my glide cam.
Right.
Most of them were terrible, but I learned. There was a lot of classes that I pretty much didn't care about because it was a terrible teacher or something. And me and Logan would just sit in the back watching like YouTube reviews, not even reviews, like tutorials and stuff, B-roll, like settings. And that's how I learned manual. Just just doing it in class, shooting Logan's shoes in science class.
You're so right. And honestly, like the first day I got my HD glide cam.
Yeah.
The next day, I had to shoot a wedding.
Really?
And I said, you know what? Here we go. Here's the time to learn.
There's the experience.
So I took about like 2 hours the day before just to like
get
it.
Yeah.
No, the next day, it was rough, but by the end of the day, shooting 8 hours. Oh, I was like, okay.
You're getting it?
I was like, okay. I finally was starting to get it after 8 hours. I was like, okay, I think we can do this. I think we can go somewhere.
Glide cams are
But I think
tough.
It's sometimes you just have to force yourself to get over the fear
100%.
in your mind of saying, well, it looks so hard, blah, blah, blah. But just take that leap of faith and not be afraid to fail.
Exactly.
I think failure helps you grow in the long game.
100%. I'm preaching it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to fail and be able to command the room and act like you know what you're doing in the moment. And make sure people feel like you're confident.
Well, it's hard doing that. I think.
Don't let them see that you're nervous.
From a wedding perspective too.
Right.
Because like my first wedding, it wasn't my first wedding, but that first wedding that was super hot, like I was so nervous. Logan was so nervous. We were having camera issues like beforehand. It was super hot. And I was like, dude, if you give in to this and just let yourself see how vulnerable you are, one, you're going to look way less professional, and you're probably not going to put yourself in a situation to fail, aka learn.
Right.
So they loved their video, and it ended up being an amazing time. It was so much work. It was like 9 hours of, it was so hot.
Yeah.
But coming out of that, there was so much that I learned.
Yep.
And they were happy with their product. So like, I mean, I'm a huge...
You look back at that product now and you're like, oh, what was I doing?
Yeah.
But again,
at the time,
they don't know the difference.
Exactly. Yeah. And at the time I was so anxious just to fail.
Right.
And especially for a wedding, because it's so once in a lifetime, really. And, but putting myself in that situation to fail and to learn was so crucial.
And for me, when I've had moments where my audio does not work at all. So again, people are paying me for a package, okay?
Yeah.
And I say, high quality audio, high quality this, high. And one wedding, I actually literally said, you know what, I'm so sorry. No audio. Like I have 3 backups. I've got my Rode Video Mic Pro on my camera. I have lapel mics. I have Tascam DR10L on people.
Those are amazing.
I have a Sennheiser, all of my things.
Everything failed.
It literally, and I'm like, why did this just happen?
That's
a person was paying for this price, and I said, you know
for
what? At the end of the day, and it can get really like eat you up in life.
I'm sure.
And I said, you know what? So I discounted the price, and I'm saying I'm so sorry. But at the end of the day, guess what? I found out. I was like, hey, you have an iPhone? Do you guys mind reading your vows on that voice memo app right there? Because they were across the country and they moved away, and I'm like, wow, there's no way I can physically get audio.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what, could you just record your vows on the voice memo and send it to me. And I was able to take that and just overlay it in the footage.
That's awesome.
And I say, you know what, I will discount the price.
Yeah.
Because it was my bad, and I failed, and I'm sorry. And getting over that day, I said, you know what, that's probably one of the worst things that could ever happen. Like when you're not getting the vows, that's tough. And your video, like, okay,
there's
that's the kicker. And so I said, you know what, I'm sorry. But that day has made me better because it was like one of the lowest moments.
Yeah.
That's something we've talked about a lot, I guess. What's the best way to shoot audio for a wedding? Should you?
Yeah, because I'm fairly new into that.
Right. So
should you use a mic that's like down on the floor in front of the bride and groom, or should you? Do
so so during the ceremony, if there is a DJ, I try and plug into his system.
Yeah. Okay.
Number one. That is my number one. Okay, but I don't rely on just the DJ. The DJ, and this is who I've also followed, who is Matt on his channel is Who Is Matt on YouTube, and he says this. He says, do not rely on the DJ. They're usually pretty cocky. They know their stuff, and oh yeah, this will work. Blah blah blah. He said, don't put all your faith into that person, but again, have it as an option where you can plug. I have a Tascam MK2 or something, and I don't know, DR MK2, and it's similar to what you have right now. And I plug into the DJ, try and get that audio. Then I also have another lapel mic that I put on the groom. So then the groom and the bride are pretty close to each other. So I put a Tascam DR10L on the groom, and then I also put another lapel on the officiant.
Okay.
So then I have 3 options. And then I also have my Rode VidMic Pro on my camera. And I always have that on during the ceremony. Yeah. So as long as I can get some applause, I can get it. The ambience kind of stuff. Ambience, if I can get at least that. So then I have 4 areas where I at least... I have that. And it's what I have right now. Obviously, I would love to get another microphone on the bride. Yeah. That's a little trickier.
Yeah. That's actually currently what
that's
we're
one we've
debating.
Talked about, a lot.
It's the most difficult.
I think it's very intimidating.
And that's where Carrie comes in. Eventually, where having a female on, it really helps to break that.
Even with that, it's like, I kind of still feel like hesitant want to put a microphone on a bride on her wedding day. Like,
it's a scary thing to think
so
about.
there's like sticky things that you can use to like try and wire it up first with the Tascam DR10.
I know they have
the white strap that you can put on your thigh as well.
I think I've seen that same video.
So there's ways. It's just as a guy, it is a little like, if there's a girl around, let them try and do that and let them take care of that. You just worry about other things to say, hey, this is where you can press record, all that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I use the 10L. I use one of those. The last wedding I shot was like the one where I went balls to the wall, audio, everything. So I had this recording into the mics, the mics that they were holding. Right. And that actually turned out to be the best audio. But I had that, and then because I recently improved my audio a crap ton.
Yeah, it's good.
This 2019 was my audio year.
Yeah. If you can tell who an amateur is 100%. It doesn't matter how much gear you have on, like, what? Oh, you're shooting on a...
Shooting 8K on a red.
Oh, my... Yeah, on a red. You're on a red. Okay.
There's no audio.
And then there's no, like, any type of, audio makes or breaks. You can immediately tell who is a beginner, who is intermediate, who is a professional just on their audio.
We've talked about that not just in videos, like movies and everything, because it's not just like regular audio. It's like if you're doing like a movie, it's soundtrack, it's ambient noise, it's voice quality, it's sound effects. Everything like
that you don't even notice.
No matter how
but when it's not there, video, you're like, what the heck?
Something just isn't right if it's not there.
Exactly. I got to show you this is funny. Me and Andrew were editing last night. I was showing him. We just started working on VFX with lightsabers.
Wow.
And I'll show you the video after the podcast. Cool. But there was like a 21-second clip of him and Logan fighting.
Really?
And
this one,
it's just the VFX, with the lightsabers.
Right.
But there was I had 7 layers of audio because without it, it's like, what the heck is this? It's
Yeah.
like
It's
a bunch
just
of
two
fools
dudes.
swinging sticks around. But then you add the sound effects. You add
Right.
you add like a little ambient, birds chirping.
Right.
And then you add like the
hints.
footsteps.
And before you know it, your timeline's like this
Yeah.
big, and you need a bigger screen. And I'm trying to
I
tell Carrie,
know.
I'm like,
Dude,
yeah,
we
I
need a bigger
already
screen.
got a 32-inch, but
exact-
I need a wide, I need an ultra wide.
You need that 65 one that Parker was
Yeah,
editing
yeah.
on.
Like drooling.
It changes it though. Like
Right.
Oh my gosh, it blows. Like I was geeking out last night with Andrew, just showing him.
Right.
I was like, "Yo, this is what this does. This is the footsteps. This is the." And then you add music to it, and it just like turned it into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
so
nuts.
The
how
full thing
much.
was what day was that? Tuesday that we recorded those.
Yeah.
Tuesday we recorded those. Me and him we fought each other, and Andrew and Logan, our other member is we did like for like 45 minutes. We like stood there and choreographed
Practicing, yeah.
stuff.
That's
so with
awesome.
these two, they just decided they want to just have like a joke thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a big. Well, I'll show you both. But
The
they're
first,
so funny.
they go for their first swing and just miss
It's
each other
complete-
completely.
it's really funny.
It's really funny.
But the sound effects still make it sound sick.
But people don't even understand how much time and effort. When they see a video for 30 seconds, they're like, oh,
That's it.
a
yeah.
scene to a movie or something. I'm like, I just was able to watch 1917.
Oh my
we
gosh.
haven't been able to see that yet.
Which I'm geeking out the entire time because
yeah.
I understand it's all one camera.
Yeah.
The one camera view.
The single take.
So I'm seeing me as a stabilizer, with the HD glide cam stabilizer, and I'm like, man, well, technically that's what I do for weddings.
yeah.
I'm a one camera guy.
Yeah.
But sometimes I try and frame a person where it's like, okay, come here. Because I know in edit, I'm going to take one shot here.
Shooting for
and
the
then I'm
edit.
going to go on the other side and I'm going to get another
Match the
shot
shot.
Yeah.
and then match the shots in post because I don't have two people.
It's like-
That's what we did with the lightsaber stuff.
But people don't understand how much goes into the creativity
Yeah,
of
because
that.
if you just
told
put a
him
tripod here,
when
you're
we
not-
when we see 1917, I'm going to sit there and pay attention to a little bit of the movie and just look for all the hidden cuts that they
It's
have.
so good.
Yeah, because apparently we haven't
apparently
seen it
there's
yet.
like
It's so good.
It's like a few.
I heard there's
a
like
few hidden cuts.
5 or 6 hidden cuts and everything else is just
It's
one
crazy.
take.
It's
Yeah.
nuts.
And I was like, sitting there, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm just geeking out because I'm like, man, the behind the scenes, I know exactly what's
There's
happening.
so much going into it.
But yeah, it's
Like,
so good.
because I've only heard good things about
so
that
good.
movie.
It's so good.
We need to see that.
A lot of it's
$5
also,
on Tuesdays, Regal Theater or Leitersburg.
Leitersburg
Oh,
is
get
I
the-
like Leitersburg
Yeah,
a
get
lot.
the VIP.
We need to see
Because like
that.
I don't see that movie being a massive box office success just because it doesn't like
It's a war movie
appeal
as well.
to everything. It's a
Right.
World War I movie in
Right.
2020.
Right.
So it's like,
That's a weird thing to say. 2020.
oh yeah,
2020.
Whew, we're in the 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pumped to see that.
But it's like especially from what I've heard online from people who know what they're talking about
Right.
and all that stuff, it's really good because it kind of appeals specifically to people who do stuff with cameras.
Right.
Because the people who do understand
Right.
that there's never been a movie like this before where
Right.
it is to appear as one entire take.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
There have been movies like that where you
But
take
nowhere
like
close.
where you
get a
take
five-
like what is it?
No
Blair
idea.
Witch Project, where you get like that first
yeah.
person view,
Right.
where it's gonna be one take, but it's not like
Right.
That one take.
like visually appealing,
Right.
cinematically
That's so
appealing.
good.
It's just like what is it? Hardcore Henry or whatever.
That was a
like
cool
all
movie.
the movies. That was cool, but
That was an
this
interesting
this
movie.
is
Right.
something
Next
completely
level.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. We can't wait to see that. So that's funny. We got a lot in common with
Very much in common.
Okay. All right, guys. So we are going to end the YouTube portion of this podcast right now. If you want to continue listening, check us out on iTunes at the Daily Advantage Podcast. We're going to keep going, and then everything beyond this is going to be specifically on Apple for now, and probably iTunes by the time, Spotify by the time
Spotify.
this comes out. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one, and let's continue the podcast.